don't worry. There's nothing bad's going to happen. Well, I don't know actually. It probably could. Well, yes. Well, this could be it. This could be it. You never know. So we'll just crack on, I guess, with whatever. I mean, I've got no plans. So I mean, if anyone's got any sort of burning questions they want to ask me, then and I don't mean questions about burning, or maybe questions about that.
I have a kind of stock question about making blues, like 12-bar blues, sound jazzy rather than bluesy.
Right. What you mean? How do you do that?
Yeah. Well, yes.
Well, I mean, firstly, I'd say, what are you listening to?
Well, I've played for a long time, sort of in rock bands and things like that. So you get all the blues scales, and then when you get invited to play the 12-bar with the jazz band, you tend to play, the same thing. And I try to kind of accent the chords, but I don't think it really helps, if you know what I mean. Recently I was told, so if you're in G,
yes,
and what I would do is accent the third a lot, the major third. So, especially going from minor to major third, and it gives it that kind of trouble. Is it gives it a really bluesy sound, doesn't it? What I mean?
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, yeah, kind of. I mean, that's that. I think I know what you're talking about. What you mean? You mean going from the 1 to the 4 chord?
Yeah, and then drop in the major third to the minor third.
Yeah.
The fourth chord.
Yes. Yes. Well, I mean, that's just a tiny little. What that kind of hits on is what's his name? The advancing Mick Goodrick. What he says in his book about equivalence, because actually what you've just done, you haven't dropped the major third to a minor third. What in fact you've just done, if you've moved to C, you're actually playing a flat 7. So I think it's a case of deciding how you kind of want to look at things, because there is definitely a more holistic way of looking at things and just saying I'm in G, and that's the end of it. Or you could start thinking about each individual chords, and I think maybe that's the way forward if you're going to start to sound jazzy, for want of a better word, because then you can start dealing with this kind of thing. So here we go. So here's one. Oops. And okay, so there's 4, back to 1. Then we're on G for ages. 4. Okay, but we're on G for so long here that we can actually consider this G as a 5 of 4. Does that make sense? Because if it doesn't, then we need to get that sorted straight away. Like dominant chords resolve 5 to 1, yeah. So why couldn't we say that this G7 is resolving to 4 temporarily? So we go like this. You can choose notes that are going to heighten the resolution. Like like G7 sharp 5, for instance. Yeah, which is not a kind of note that you're going to put on a groove chord. You know what I mean? It's not going to sit there all day. It's definitely something that's got to have motion. So then it's going to move to 4. So I mean, you could be bluesing away in G. Sharp 5 to the 4. And hit that third. So I mean that's your first kind of resolution. Is other notes that can really work out well, and then there's not that many of them really. Like flat 9. So here's G. I was just thinking of putting something in here so you can hear the. I'll do that in a minute. Here's G for ages, and then you've got flat 9, like on like a G7. Add the flat 9. Yeah, you can hear Joe passing there. Or whatever I played. And then classically it goes to, in a jazz blues, it goes to like diminish there. And then you hit the third. And then it goes 2-5-1, right? So I mean, you've got all these opportunities to start putting all these notes in on those sort of 5-to-1 resolutions. So you've got so you're going to have E7 going to A7 to the 2. But I mean, you could do the same thing with this E as well. Sharp 5. And then A minor. And then D7. Sharp 5. And then back to your third. So here we go. So that's covered a lot of ground very, very quickly. But I mean, maybe that was the right thing to do. Just say, have a sort of holistic approach and just say,
yeah,
that's where all the good notes are. You know, not all of them, but a lot of them. Dominant chords heading into other chords. Flat 9, sharp 5, flat 7, and then E7, sharp 5 or flat 9. To A minor 7. There's the third, flat 9, sharp 9, 3, and then it's like 1 6 2 5. So you know, I think it's a case of just trying to highlight this, you know, as much of that sort of harmony as you can. Of course, I'll tell you what, I'm going to put in a blues here. Okay, so it's my little friend. So I mean, what I'm going to do is just play the blues over it. So you know, we've always got that backup, like Mick Hansen said. You know, I mean, but that's how we started. You know, you can refer to all this stuff as being just related to G, and you can get away with it. I mean, so I could literally just play the blues over the whole thing. At no point was I thinking about any of the changes. Well, I mean, I was, but I was trying not to. And then, so if you can introduce these notes and actually sort of anticipate some of these changes and get some of the nicer notes in. Here we go. Up to E. And that's all coming from using these kind of dominant chords, you know, sharp 5s and flat 9s and all that sort of thing. So you just kind of got to get used to you know, where they come out. I mean, it's a kind of easy thing to say, I suppose. Yeah, just do this. But I mean, you know, a lot of this stuff you get from listening to the records as well, and that's why the first thing I said to you is, what are you listening to? Because if
I've got things like Joe Pass.
Great.
He does a sort of chance to blues thing, doesn't he? Called Blues
Oh
Together.
man!
And
What you mean? What you mean, the video thing?
Yeah.
Or, yeah.
Old, well, obviously it's old. And Barney Kessel as well.
Right. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Joe's a great one for all this. I mean, if if he's got, well, I mean, he won't necessarily always do the same thing, but he'll kind of back cycle sometimes, you know. So I mean, you can hear him doing it on some of these blues things. Like if he's going to C, then he might well put in like a 3-6-2-5 going into C, like just put in more sort of information. You know, he might be thinking about something like that. So that wasn't particularly good. I'll do another one. So he's actually playing a whole. He's putting a whole progression in there, like a 3-6-2-5 going into the 4 chord. You know, isn't this hard enough as it is, Joe? Without throwing all that in. But then Joe knows the value of just sitting on a you know, the blues scale as well. Do you know that album Chops with Niels Henning Orsted Pedersen? Well, there's that blues. And he's just going like a whole chorus. You know what I mean? So it's you know, I mean, Joe knows the value of just leaving the harmony aside for a minute. But yeah, that's I mean, it's a huge question, you know, what you ask, and I mean, the second thing that I'm not pulling you up on it, but it's when you speak about theory first, I think it's dangerous. You know, it's a little bit dangerous because it means that you're fundamentally starting from a place of theory. Do you know what I mean? And it's that's nothing I ever really wanted to do or did, in fact. So, you know, I'd much rather be thinking about melody before anything, you know, absolutely anything. And as long as it's strong, then it's absolutely going to work. So I don't know. I mean, that's an easy thing to say too, isn't it? You know, just think about melody. But you know, if you were to be thinking about, like, for instance, like starting your ideas with theory, I mean, you could easily end up in the trap of playing arpeggios and, you know, like for the sake of it, or whatever. And it will fix the changes, but it's not really music, you know what I mean? So I mean, I'd rather just sort of, you know, try not to get everything in there, and just, I mean, you can just leave this stuff for another day, you know, in the same way that, like, looking at just those 2 notes, which, like, I mean, you know, you started with. I'd rather think, I'm not actually sure what I'm about to do, but I know I'm going to start with the 5th here. 5, 2, 5. These are the intervals. 2. That's the diminished. 5. Flat 7. 4. Flat 7. 1. Common tones, isn't it? You know, and I mean, obviously that's not quite a melody. But I mean, if you could do something like, you know, between the 2, and start, like, pulling out some of these good notes in the dominant chords that kind of highlight or heighten the resolution, then, I mean, you could get onto something quite quickly that's quite melodic. Hopefully, again, I have no idea what I'm about to do, but it'll be something like this. I just threw a bit of blues in just to show that I can also not care about the changes if I want to. But it's not scales, is it? You know, it's not scales. It's you know, you have to be aware of all the kind of intervals, but it's not, you know, I don't know. I mean, you're just trying to sort of feed off the last thing that you did as well, and just. I think, and we had a chat here about a month ago. We were talking about pace as well, like the pace of a solo. You know, like I mean, it's all over the internet these days, isn't it? You know, there's always some kind of 5-year-old guitarist who's absolutely burning. It's just like, I'm selling everything. I'm just going to sell everything. I mean, there's no point. I mean, this guy owns the guitar. But then these people always seem to disappear. And you think, you know, where do they go? I mean, it's like, this guy was going to take over the world, and now, do you know, he was working in the kebab van the other day. You think, what happened? You know, and it's, well, maybe that's another thing, but you know, it's not all about the speed. In fact, it's not really much to do with that at all. I mean, it's that's just a byproduct of having done it for a long time. I mean, I'm not the world's fastest guitar player.
Did you ever see that thing with Joe Bonamassa? Would have
No.
been when he was about 10, you know.
Right.
And his father taught him, you know.
Okay.
And it shows him wearing that cap, and he's about 10, just going into a music shop, playing every guitar,
Right.
playing any style you wanted.
Okay.
And yeah, you know, you hated the bloke. and I mean, he's not, you know, come on as much as you thought he might. You know, at the time. I mean, I know
Could do better. That's what my teachers used to say.
Yeah, the global.
Oh Christ! I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just depends what you want, doesn't it? I mean, out of music. I mean, I think he's done pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, considering he looks like an insurance salesman, I think he's done amazingly well to climb to the top of the blues world.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? But I mean, let's face it. I mean, we're talking about the real world, and we're talking about us, and we're talking about playing jazz, which is never going to take you there anyway. You know, it's well, unless well, no, it isn't. Let's face it. You know, I mean, this is just about enjoying and playing music with kindred spirits. So it's you know, so this is about fitting in. I mean, you know, it's so obvious. I mean, if you go out on a gig and someone's just burning all of the time, it's like, man. In fact, I remember actually doing this years and years ago when I was a bit wet behind the ears, and the bass player, he was a Yorkshire guy, and I was really going for it. He went, "Don't hurt yourself," and I felt so embarrassed. You know what I mean? Sitting there in this gig, just going, you know, and it's not really, you know, that's not what my favourite records sound like. You know, they don't. I mean, even if you listen to George Benson and there's like moments where he absolutely just goes interstellar. I mean, I don't mean goes interstellar. I mean goes interstellar as in planets. But most of the time, he's just got good time and good feel, and he's placing his notes really in a really lovely way, and just making good music, and that's what I love about Benson more than anything, you know. So. Yeah, I'm kind of getting away from the thing, or am I? I don't know. Yeah, I can't remember what the question was now, but I'm sure it was something relevant. It was all about just sort of letting the music. Oh no, that's right, pace. I was talking about. You see, if you try and run faster than your own pace, I mean, like, obviously in the athletics world, you're just gonna sort of fall onto the grass in the middle bit and start throwing up on you, you know. Or they hire the pacemakers, don't they, to run for 1 mile at 4 minutes 32 or something like that, and that's their job done. So they know absolutely what the pace is, and of course, if you start off with a sprint, then your solo's going to go downhill. It's just going to go down. I mean, because it can't go any higher. So it's a kind of case of getting a really good relationship with your own playing, and going, okay, you know, I want to make this exciting, or you know, tell a story, I guess. So you just got to start off slow, you know, and just get used to the whole surroundings, the whole tempo, the whole feel of it, you know, who you're playing with and all that sort of thing. Which, of course, I mean, it might not be your solo first, but, you know, it's still it's still, you know, once that solo starts, you're suddenly aware that you're on your own. You know, so you just got to kind of keep it simple and just slowly sort of add some stuff, you know. Space. Nothing. I was getting ahead of myself, so just taking the sting out of it. Last chorus. Anyway, I'm not saying it's the greatest thing in the world, but I looked over there because I was handing it to the saxophone player, who isn't really here. But you know what I mean? It's like you've got to make a bit of a shape. So I mean, hopefully I've sort of played what I kind of explained. Start off simple, you know, to just get sort of bigger. I said last chorus, and before I knew it, I was into a chord thing, and I don't know why that happened. I guess maybe it's because I'm a Wes fan, but sometimes it's there, isn't it? It's like, oh God, you know, I can't get any faster, or it's just another level to kind of, you know, shove in. I mean, I suppose I could have done the octave thing as well, but it was, you know, whenever you start doing that, you think, I'm being Wes, and everybody knows it. So, you know, it might not be something you want to do every time. And then, yes, like I said at the end, just kind of hand the baton. Why is this all about athletics today? I'm the least athletic person in the world.
Oh, you're not, I am.
You know, it's just about handing it over to someone else, and quite often, I mean, you hear it on solos. When the next person comes in, they might even pick up exactly the line that you played, which is all about melody. You know, kind of straight back in there. I mean, you know, that isn't to say that you're not thinking about the theory. I mean, it's but when you say theory, I mean, all of it's kind of theory in a way. I mean, just the fact that that's G is theory. You know what I mean? So it's I mean, it's a case of, you know, how far you want to take that. You know, so yeah. That was the point I was going to make before about you know, what you're listening to, because, you know, if you're hearing something that Kenny Burrell's playing, or whoever, you know, or Joe Pass, and you want to play it, then just copy it, steal it, dress it up in different clothes, and then add it to your bag and tell everybody it's yours. You know, I mean, I think that's what people have done for donkey's years, decades and decades. You know, it takes us onto the sort of the transcribing thing, doesn't it? You know, that's the other thing you see on Instagram or whatever. You know, you see someone like who's that Australian guy at the moment who's just like transcribing Michael Brecker on guitar, and it's just like, oh God, oh no, tapping and everything. You know, it's like, oh God. And then, but I don't think that's what people used to do. You know, not really. I mean, I've only noticed that come up in the last sort of 10, 15 years. You know, to transcribe a solo. And then, well, I mean, obviously the internet hasn't been around for that long, so maybe people were doing it. I just didn't know they were. But I mean, I know over the course of my life, I think I've learned maybe 4 solos. Then that's it. That's pretty much it. And to my mind, it's a case of just taking little bits that you hear and just go, oh, I like that. I really, really like that, and I'm nicking it now, and that's it. But rather than just sort of nick someone's actual lick, you actually find out what the hell they were doing. I think I mentioned this one before. I mean, this one kind of changed my life. Stop me if you've heard it before. It was on a Martin Taylor record. See if I can put this groove in. Work. So it was this kind of groove. I'll play it over in a minute, but he played this. He went E minor, and then he went B minor, and then he did it again, and then again, and I was like, what is that? Everybody stop, whatever you're doing, and he just went, yeah. And I was like, okay, I'm taking that right now, and it's now mine. I'd kind of changed it a bit, and I just sort of, rather than actually just sort of take it and like move on to the next bit of the solo, I was thinking, where the hell's, why is this sort of thing happening? And it's and it just happened to be at the same time as some guy came around for a lesson. It was donkeys years ago now. And he presented me with this file. It was like that thick. He said, yeah, this is the Frank Gambale book. He said, I can't stand it anymore. You can have it. I was like, oh, thanks. So, and I thumbed through it. I was like, this is amazing. And then realised after the first 5 pages that I could map out the entire book. And it was just about, like playing, I don't know what, I mean, just like these formulas, I guess, and one of those things was taking the minor arpeggios out of each harmonised scale. So I mean, if this is E Dorian, then it's from D major. So you've got E minor, yeah. So if you go through it, you've got F minor, F sharp minor as well. Okay, great. And then you go up and then you've got G major, A7, and then you've got B minor. And I was like, wow, I mean, this is incredible. And this fits in with exactly what I've just heard, which means that you can put in... Yeah, this is a bit too fast. I'm going to put in a different groove just so we can hear it. Just over a swing thing, maybe. Something like that. So that's E minor, F sharp, do you know what, I shouldn't have put that A7 in. I'm going to take it out. That'll do. So there's your E minor. Here's your F sharp. And you think, yeah, actually, all those notes, they kind of work. So here's 2. Here's 4. Here's 6. And here's 1. What was the other one? B minor. 5. Yeah, flat 7. 5. Sorry, 2. Because 5 are beaten. And then the flat 7 becomes the 4. I haven't put the F sharp in yet. So yeah, I mean that kind of works, right? I mean it's like yeah. So this completely contradicts everything that I said about using theory to make melody. Yeah, I'm lying, basically. I'm lying. But I mean, actually, I mean, what I found that what seems to happen is that this kind of, it doesn't sort of make you have a relationship with 2 and 4, because it sort of pops up in all of these. So it's in F sharp, and it's in B as well. The 5 becomes the 2, the flat 7 becomes. So it's just a way of just sort of, hearing this chord, or maybe this one, which should be. That's the whole chord. It's like E minor 9 with 11 on top. So, you know what I mean? It's like. Yeah. So I mean, I guess the point is to transcribe and not to analyze is, well, I mean, I don't know, I wouldn't say it's pointless, but I mean, it's, I found that what it tends to do is open up your ears for the time that you're actually transcribing, hearing someone's phrasing and getting the feel and all the kind of vibe of the whole thing. But if you don't stop and smell the roses while you're there, I think it's a bit of a shame, really, because there's some stuff that you can really really get hold of and internalize and get into your playing, and suddenly it could open a huge journey. I mean, why don't we consider for a second that minors have relative majors, for instance, and whilst we're there, you know what I mean. Let's have a look at B minor, for instance, over E. So I'm looking up at D major, and so suddenly I'm playing D major over E minor. Really, I mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, you wouldn't necessarily want to hang there all day, but you could kind of slide in and out of it. And I mean, you could say as well that you could also say that if F sharp minor is the well, I mean that's a third above D major anyway. So you start to get to see all the sort of patterns of everything that's kind of going on, having just listened to someone's phrase and gone, oh, I like that. And then if you think of the original reason that you liked it, is because it's a melody that jumped out and really kind of grabbed you and made you feel a certain way, And I think it's important not to lose sight of the original reason you liked it, because we wouldn't want to end up just doing this or something. Because it's not really music, you know what I mean? It's not really music. It's arguably was that really, but I mean, it's licks, I suppose. You can either learn them and kind of parrot learn them, and then kind of regurgitate them. And for me, that's not really what it's all about. That's like sort of mapping out what you're going to do for the next, I don't know, 10 seconds or something like that. That's when creativity kind of dies. If you consider that it's all about connecting with people, then if you chuck your information out in these kind of more easily sort of digestible blocks rather than this constant stream of stuff, complicated stuff, I think people react to it sort of a bit more. And I'm not talking about dumbing down for an audience at all. I mean, this is just the way I kind of feel about it. And I think Peter Bernstein feels the same way about it. I've heard him talk about just using little clusters of notes here and there. Be more simple, you can be simple as hell. I've got rid of that blues now. I'll tell you what, I've probably got one on here. In fact, I've got a little groove here in just like G minor. I'm just going to play simple as hell. Leave some space, to let people digest what it is that you've just done. I mean, I was playing too much at the end, I reckon. I'll do something wrong here. I'm not going to shut up. Shut up! You know what I mean? The space is just as important as the notes. And I think ending phrases is really important as well, I see these things as kind of speech based. If you were talking to someone and you came in really strong, you said, hey Dave, I'm thinking about going to the excuse me? Yeah, I know. I was thinking of popping down to the. What? That's sentences without endings, and But if you listen to actual conversations of confident people, hey Dave, I don't know why I'm American all of a sudden. Maybe because Americans are supremely confident all the time. I'm going down to the gym. I don't know what the hell am I doing, but you can, you know what I mean. That was, hey Dave, I'm going down to the gym. But it's like finishing each phrase with a kind of strong ending. And if you concentrate on some of these endings, then it's a given that a phrase is going to end. So if you enjoy ending phrases, then you're going to have gaps in your phrases. I can't think of Dave in the gym anymore. Jesus Christ. I'm ending every kind of phrase. It's like the end of the phrase is as strong as the start, and it feels to me anyway like they're kind of strong ideas, you know what I mean? But unless you mess it up. You can almost feed yourself the ideas as well, you know. It's like handing over the baton to that invisible sax player, but you're just handing over to yourself, you know. And I think if you kind of end your phrases in a very strong way, then that can really help. Anyway, I just feel like I've been talking and talking. I mean, someone asked me something. If you want to, though. unless you're happy with me just rabbiting on. Anyone got anything, burning questions? No? You put your hand up at one point. It sounded like you had... Is it your 30th birthday by any chance?
No, I wish it was. I'm still very young. No, it's to do with comping. So,
go on.
Sorry, I've got a jet plane going.
No, that's a great problem to have.
Comping with other instruments.
Yes.
So obviously coming out of lockdown, I'm planning to join or at least jam with a few different bands. And the biggest issue I have is not necessarily the lead and playing over the changes. It's more the comping side. So how to accompany the other instrument so they can, enhance what they're doing. So playing along. And I know it's always a keeping in time, trying to lock into the rhythm, etc. But sometimes they'll do things which aren't always to the ear over the rhythm natural to me.
Okay.
So it's trying to lock into what they're doing. And obviously I've seen a few of your recent videos online where you're playing with other instrumentalists like saxophone. So how do you feel that what's your approach when you're comping towards what they're playing?
Are you saying that you like what I was doing?
Hardly, yes.
That's incredible. Well, I mean, I'm not bigging myself up or anything, but people, I have heard people say there was one in particular, but I won't embarrass him. But one saxophone player, and I heard him say on a radio interview, he said, "Nigel Price is just the greatest comper," and I thought, and it. I haven't got perfect pitch. I've got very good relative pitch. So I guess it's a case of deciding what you're kind of listening to, and what's going to make people sound better than they already are. I don't want to talk about playing four in the bar. That's a big band thing, really, isn't it? That's you do see some people doing it, but there's no absolute answer for it. It's like, for instance, Chick Corea, I think it was Chick Corea. There's like a list of do's and don'ts in music, and one of them, I don't know if I can get this exactly right, but he said compliment, don't imitate. So quite often there's nothing that annoys soloists more than you jumping on everything that they're doing. You know what I mean? It's like I've even had people turn around and just stop that. So it's a case of deciding what you're going to do. For instance, if they're playing a long note thing, you might want to play more, or if they're doing something fast, I don't know. Perhaps you want to stay out of their way, but listen first. Listen to what they're doing first. If I'd have known about this, what I might have done is get up an album like something like a good way to practice this is like what's the Sonny Rollins album? Is it A Night at the Village Vanguard or where is it? There's a Sonny Rollins album where there's no chords, so you can just play along to this, and it's the tunes aren't really sort of mad, sort of out there tunes. So there's softly as in the morning sunrise, or as he said, softly as in the morning sunrise. So, it's weird how Sonny Rollins used to sound like Sylvester the Cat, and now he sounds like Fozzie Bear. When did that happen? Anyway, no disrespect for the great man, but that's quite a good thing to do. Like just kind of play along, but of course that's only a one-way street, because you have to remember that your role in this. Sometimes people will listen to what you're doing and want to sound, and want you to be a part of what they're doing. This is totally impossible, isn't it? Because there's no one here with me, so I can't really demonstrate it, right here. But I see it all the time, and I'm in a very very lucky position of being involved in a lot of the jam sessions down at places like Roddy Scott's, and upstairs is probably the best one in many ways, because you get a lot of the younger players in, who are a bit too scared to hit the big stage downstairs. Some of them anyway, and you see things going wrong up there, and I love it. I absolutely love to see things going wrong. You know, I mean, not because I want the whole thing to be a train wreck or anything, but just because I love helping people, and it's so obvious, you know. Someone will call a tune, and they'll play the tune, and then it's the first solo, and quite often, like, I mean, say it's like Stella by Starlight, I don't know, whatever, and you can hit like the guitar is loud and proud before anyone's played a note or whatever, you know what I mean? It's like, hang on a second, man, no one has played a thing yet, nothing, just shut up, you know. It's so it's I mean, literally, that's what I do. I just don't do anything until I hear something, and then you can kind of, you know, react to it. And of course, the other thing is, there's people, not just the soloist, but you've got other people listening to you as well. You've got the drummer and the bass player, like, listening to you, and drummers get bored, you know, so they're always looking around for like a bit of fun, you know. So, you know, you can start messing around with them, and those looks always go around, you know, when you hit the same thing, like when you hit the push together, it's like, oh man, get out of my head, man, this is amazing, you know, and you can really get with that. And sometimes you can hit something like a rhythmical figure, like together with the drummer, and you can just be in heaven, just having a great laugh with them, and, you know, and it all coming out right, and you can create some real massive moments in music with it. But you just got to be careful not to upset the soloist. I mean, I've had that before. It was Alan Barnes, and we were playing, it was years ago. We were playing at this place called the Bun Shop in Surbiton, and the guy, I can't remember who the drummer was. I think it might be Darren Altman, but and we were having great fun. And I'd never really, you know, I hadn't spent as much time as I'd have liked to, you know, playing with amazing rhythm section players who could handle this sort of thing, you know. And so we're all, you know, diving around and doing these 3/4 time and all these pushes and all this sort of thing. And Alan's playing away, and he just suddenly went, "Will you stop fucking about?" I was like, "Oh shit!" So you know, I mean, you just got to be careful. What tunes do you know?
I've been going through quite a few, but the most recent one, I like the tune "Out of Nowhere."
Okay, yeah.
I'm not necessarily. I'm quite new to jazz in respect. I've only been doing it probably the last year.
Yeah.
Before that, I was very much into blues and rock, but
okay,
never working over changes. So yeah, "Out of Nowhere" seems to be the one at the moment.
Sure.
But
that's a great tune.
Yeah, it's a lovely tune, and Sonny Stitt does an amazing version of that tune, which I really like. But yeah, when it comes to the comping side, I've played with big bands before, and I feel like it's a lot more structured. But when you're in a big band, there's a lot more instruments going around you, so you're not necessarily as exposed.
No. In fact, you're probably doing four in the bar for that one anyway. So yeah, I mean, you're not really getting involved.
No. Whereas with this, you're a lot more exposed, so it's a little bit more nerve-wracking.
All right.
Like you say, I suppose sometimes you have to be told by other instrumentalists that you're doing the wrong thing to know when you're doing the wrong thing, if that makes sense.
Okay. I'm going to play a chorus of solo and then try and comp along with myself. It's just the timing's got to be good, otherwise I'm not going to be able to hear what I'm doing. thought that was all right. I mean, obviously, the soloist can't react to me because he's not listening to me. But you can hear that I'm listening to what I've just done. I mean, I obviously can't remember what I've just done, but I'm just listening to what I've just done, and I'm trying to complement it. If not harmonically, at least somewhere close harmonically, and maybe kind of rhythmically as well. I'll do a wrong one. Sorry, this is really overrunning, but I'm kind of enjoying myself. Kind of. Right. I mean, this is kind of maybe the wrong thing to do, although it might sound it right. Can you hear it? It's like, I mean, all I'm really listening to is the time that that I put down. I'm not listening to a goddamn thing that I've played, and I'm not playing anything wrong, like harmonically, but it's just not. There's no interaction there whatsoever. So I mean, it's just, it's just sort of different levels of getting involved with it, like whatever's going on. By the same token, I could get mega involved and try and sort of literally weave around what someone's doing. Firstly, I'll do that thing that soloists hate, which is the copy. Don't ever do this. Do you know what I mean? It's like, get off me, man. Just leave me alone. Just stop copying me. Get away from me. Jesus. So, and then there's a kind of different level, I suppose, which is to try and, well, I mean, I guess like do what I did sort of, the first time, but just try and make it sort of a bit more organic. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I was trying to, but I mean, you can hear the difference, right? So yeah, okay. Well, I mean, I hope that kind of helps. It's unfortunately it's just
very much
good. I mean,
I really appreciate it. I can see, especially when there's certain moments, and obviously you're hearing those moments, you are making them stand out by what you're coming around.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's other stuff that you've got to. You don't have to listen out for it, but I mean, there's other options like that people are going to put in, like for instance, on that E flat that comes in. It's quite often they'd put a sharp 11 in on that, but you might not want to put it in just because maybe they don't want to give the game away, or whatever, or or if they're going to play something really straight, you don't want to be going. If they're going. I mean, it's still going to fit harmonically, but it's like, yeah, it's just sort of giving too much away, in a way, you can stay off those notes anyway. You can just be sticking with the ones, 1s, 3s, and 7s, 5s, and things like that. Because then you're not going to get anyone's way. Oh, sorry. fact, just a little bit of that. You know, it's just not getting in the way at all. Whereas, here we go. It's just too much. You know, it's not wrong. But it's like you're trying to fill in all of the intervals that a soloist could like potentially be using, and it's just too much, you know. So yeah, no, I mean it's just a kind of judgment call, but I think it's just perhaps it's enough just to say that if you make someone feel good in the space that they're playing, I'm playing a saxophone for some reason, but if you're making the sax player feel good about everything and they're enjoying playing with you, then you're going to get the call, you know. And if you're getting on their nerves, then you ain't going to get the call. And I think that's pretty much it, isn't it? And you're just going to have a better time. Anyway, I'm aware that I'm probably holding everyone up, keeping everyone away from peeling the potatoes or whatever. So, but I mean, I'm happy here for a minute, or we can wrap it up, or whatever. I'll do whatever you want. Any other burning questions before we leave? Well, all happy. Yeah. All right. Okay. You can unmute if you like, if you are muted. And all right. Well, great. I mean, it's really good to see you. And I know I'm sorry about the meeting yesterday. I don't know if anyone tried to get in yesterday because I screwed it up again. But I will not make a mess of it next time. And if you've got anything particular you want to talk about, then just bring it along. You know, get something prepared. And put me through my paces, as long as it's not giant steps. And
Funnily enough, I nearly asked about that today.
Thank God for that. Well, I'm off the hook for another month. I better do some practice. All right. Okay. Well, I'll see you guys next time then. All right.
Yes.
Enjoy. All right.
Cheers.
See you soon, man. All right. Cheers. See ya.